Hello and welcome to the OFA education program. I'm going to be walking you through the steps required to effectively add order flow analysis into your trading process. And that should effectively give you the tools you need to find success as a trader. This course is like a series of building blocks. Each class provides the context and foundation for the next one. So please grab a pen and paper, take notes, and make sure you've processed each lesson before jumping forward to the next one. As we get started, I want to give you an idea of what to expect from our education program. Some people find online learning to be a wonderful experience, while others struggle with the on-demand style pace. They find it harder to master something when they're not in a physical classroom environment. Well, to me, the learning process only involves a few simple steps, but to be effective, it has to begin with a student discovering something profound. You have to experience something intelligent, something insightful, something extremely clever that gets you excited about learning. If you're not interested, chances are you're not going to make it past the first class. So assuming I can get you interested, you need to see a demonstration, something you can visually connect with that reinforces your interest in the subject. Once you've seen it, it needs to be explained. And once it's been explained, you need to see it demonstrated again, slowly. That's the foundation I follow in this course. Show it, explain it, show it again slowly. There's nothing here that cannot be learned, but it's critical you don't mistake learning for mastery. Mastering something means you're willing to challenge yourself relentlessly. Having some illusion that trading is an easy way to make money part-time is just that, an illusion. So if you're here looking for a way to make some easy cash, please stop now. OFA is not for you, and more importantly, trading is not for you either. You can Google 1,000 trading courses aimed at convincing you to part with your money in return for overnight riches. This is not one of them. I teach serious concepts and trading strategies for people genuinely interested in a career in capital markets. You cannot buy a career, just like buying a new golf club is not going to make you a professional golfer. We offer you a path for mastery, but let's start with the learning process and see if we can show you something profound. To begin, I'm going to have to provide some context. I don't want to assume that you're already versed in all things trading. Many of you, no doubt, have shelves full of trading books, piles of trading magazines, and lots of trading software. Lots and lots. But even if that's the case, I'm not taking anything for granted. I want to prep the class step by step, and that requires even the brightest in the room to take a step back and get some perspective. Technical traders generally use charts to analyze market data. A chart is a series of price history, represented in the vertical scale, spread out over a horizon of time. Now, I use the word time here loosely. Time doesn't have to be the actual unit of the horizontal axis. Often it will be, but we could just as easily use periods of trading volume, lunar cycles, or how frequently you brush your teeth. It simply allows us to organize the data. This particular type of chart is known as a bar chart. Each series of price and time is organized into little bars. So green bars represent a period of time where price rose, and red bars are when price declined. The little tick mark on the left of each bar marks the open price, or the first price traded in that period. We can see the lowest price, the highest price, and the closing price, shown here on the right side. The close price is actually the last traded price, which you can see here on the red bar. In the event that a bar has not actually closed and moved on to the next one, we refer to it as the last traded price because we're only recording history up to that point in time. When you get down to the nuts and bolts of trading, the only thing that we're really trying to do is make money. To do that, we try to sell at a high price and take profit at a lower price. To do this, we need to buy back what we sold. This is known as a short trade. We sell short and buy to close. The other way we try to make money is to buy low and take profits at a higher price. This is a long trade and probably far more common to the novice trader. We buy long and sell to close. Now, while this sounds simple, it's important that you understand the buying and selling relationship when we start talking about more complex concepts. So I want you to write it down. We buy from someone to go long, and we sell it back to someone to close the position. We buy from someone to go long, and we sell it back to someone to close the position. We have to understand that someone has to be on the other side of the transaction for us to get in a trade and for us to get out of a trade. How we interact with other market participants determines how profitable we'll ultimately be. So there's many types of charts that we can use. Here's a candle chart showing the exact same data. It has a different look and feel, but it's exactly the same information. Many times when I'm doing presentations, I'll poll the audience to see what type of chart they prefer. Over dozens of presentations and thousands of traders, this is usually what we see. Typically, the response is over 70% for candles, with less than 10% still using bar charts. There's a handful of other popular charts that make up the balance. Line break, Rinko, PNF, obviously OFA charts fall into this category. But for now, we'll stick to the most popular charts, candles. When I ask traders why they prefer candles to bars, the first response is always the same. They say these charts do a good job of reflecting sentiment. Well, they do look a little different than bars, but there's still only 4 points of data reflected in each period: the open, high, low, and close. The body of the candle is colored according to the direction of price movement between the open and close prices. So periods with price advances are green, and those with declines in price are red. The skinny wicks at the ends show us how far from the high and low the market moved from the open and close. So it looks like we have buying sentiment here, which was then wiped out by selling sentiment. So if that's the big advantage, it's not making much sense yet. You see, candle chart aficionados will tell you that there's not much sentiment to be gained by looking at a single candle. Instead, they're generally looking for patterns where the combination of several candles together tells a better story over time, like this, and this, and this. Here we see two candles moving lower, which are then penetrated back through by a candle with buying sentiment. While I don't know the funny name for this particular pattern, they're all about measurements of wicks and bodies and determining how far past one data point another was able to travel. What I can tell you is that the majority of candle patterns use 3 candles to form a signal. And while almost all of them have dismal historical results, candle patterns have been popular since the early 1990s, and the results don't appear to be discouraging aspiring traders. More than 70% still use them, so go figure. Now, we're not going to focus on candle patterns in this lesson, but I want you to write this down. Candle pattern results can be drastically improved. Drastically. I'm going to show you how in the next lesson. So we have a little more context ahead. I know there's nothing profound just yet, but stick with me. We're getting close. The next way technical traders get information from these charts is through technical analysis, what's known as indicators and studies. Here we're looking at a moving average crossover. The blue line is an average of the close prices from the 7 candles behind the most current. So add up all those close prices and then divide them by 7. That's your blue line. The orange line shows the average of the last 14 close prices. Now, given that there are thousands and thousands of trades that occurred in the last 14 candles, I'm not really sure what the logic is behind picking just 14 of them, but that's what a moving average does. So now for the exciting part. For some reason, we're told that when the shorter average crosses under the longer average, that's when we're supposed to sell. And when it goes the other way, that's when we're supposed to buy. Pretty profound, huh? I'm just kidding. This is just some context for what we're here to learn. And context? Well, all that means is looking at what happened. So what did happen? Price moved higher, and there was a moving average crossover after it started. And technically, there was a candle pattern after it started too. These three candles are known as white soldiers. And that pattern happened right after a moving average cross. And then the market moved up. But is this profound? Not really. It's still just what happened. The indicators didn't make the market move up. What about this one? This is three black crows and a moving average cross to the downside. I wouldn't have wanted to short that one. So what I'm saying here is that all of this could simply be luck. In fact, empirical statistics prove on a daily basis that most of the time, results like this are less likely than the results of a coin toss. So I'm not going to say that this is some profound enlightenment. And I'm certainly not going to teach you to trade using something so utterly unprofound. It happened. Now it's time to move on. But learning why something happened, now that's entirely different. What if I can teach the why and the how, not just the what? I'm going to demonstrate for you why all of this is actually because of something that happened all the way back over here, and why it has nothing to do with this. And I'll explain with a real-time example how this could have been traded from way back here for a profit of $3.26 for every $1 risked. And it's not the profit that's profound. It's that for the first time, you're about to understand why the market moves up and down, and what makes these indicators and candle patterns work and fail. I'm going to demonstrate why, I'm going to explain how, and I'm going to show you slowly until you can understand every part of it, so that if you want to challenge yourself, you can imitate it. You can continue to be mentored, and you can test yourself, review your progress, and work towards mastery. If you're like most struggling traders, tired of buying magic indicators, struggling to find confidence, slowly bleeding your account dry, you should find this to be profound.